And on Active Worlds, you could design your own world. So we decided to make a world for art and architecture, and which is what you see here. And in this world, we were making kind of museums and gallery spaces and artist studios. And the basic concept was that we were giving away the studios to artists. So we were giving away the studios to the artists, and we were selling the institutional buildings. So to museums, like or foundations, like the Desta Foundation, they kind of bought a copy of their building. From an architectural point of view, you know, that moment in the late 90s, it was all about cyberspace. And I was really not interested in that because from the beginning, I wanted to treat the internet as a real place, as somewhere where you kind of casually hang out, not the kind of technological marvel. So this world that we made together with Mythos, it was really based on the art world or on contemporary cities, not some kind of fantasy place. Still, what I learned was that people have very short attention spans when they're looking at buildings on the internet. And they're always able to, you know, just close a window and leave your building. Is it better now? Is it too loud? Usually I speak too low and I'm kind of sleepy, so I'm trying to be excited. So I found out that as I was designing these buildings, that I had to kind of make them almost like logos. They had to have a kind of memorable quality. So you had to read them very quickly, and you could describe them in 1 or 2 words. So like chatting, you couldn't write like, you know, paragraphs of text, but the text had to be really short. So these buildings had to be almost like one-click buildings, like the pin. Later, Mildos had kind of found this word for art, for a new art movement called NEEM, and it's N-E-E-M. And he asked me to design a world for it. So a complete world for the artists of NEEM, where they would have their studios and their houses. And it would be a place where all of us would meet. So in this world, I took a different approach. I didn't want to make a copy of the world, but I wanted to create a new kind of place and to treat it as a world, not as a city anymore. The first place that you entered was a kind of forest, and each of the artists' names was on the trees, and then if you clicked on them, they would teleport you to their studio. And so working on this, I kind of had this idea that I wasn't interested in designing the nature, so not really the environment of the world, but I was more interested in making buildings that were related to nature. So somehow to make these kind of spaces or buildings that include the idea of the natural environment. And this was a rainbow house for artist Angelidakis, who's actually here today. This was Angelo's house, and it was a kind of rainbow that bounced around inside a transparent cube. And of course, it was inspired by one of Angelo's works, oneaftertheother.com, which is these rainbows. So actually this nature that I was referring to was coming from the internet. There was many different places, like this blue building. This was a beach. It was called Blue Wave, and it was this kind of curved surfaces that the avatars like to walk on. So it was a beach of New World. There was a building made of clouds for an artist, Dutch artist, Raphael Rosenthal. So I really played with this idea of this buildings made of nature, like this leaf house for an American artist, or this kind of brown thing, which was these caves for a Serbian artist called Nikola Tosic. This is the cloud box again. And each one of us had a kind of different avatar recently, there has been a new your world that you buy a little piece of land, and there's money, so you can buy stuff. And in order to build, you have to have land, which is actually quite expensive. Here is so when I first got my second life, I bought a really small piece of land, and I made this cube house. This was the kind of cheapest piece of land that actually the building barely could fit on it. And actually the neighbors didn't really like the house, so they had some problems there. So they built these walls because they didn't want to see me. And one person in the back built this wall. She was very tricky. She built this wall of trees. So from her side it looks like a forest, but then she doesn't see the cube house. I don't know why she didn't like it. But the thing is that Second Life is actually a very conservative place, and the buildings look like buildings, and I really wasn't interested in that. I mean, I'm interested in buildings, but not boring buildings.
It's like might as well just come back to the real.
Sorry?
Is it like that in Athens, building in Athens?
I don't know. I haven't built anything in Athens. Actually, this cube house was originally should last for 12 hours. So you had a lot of empty space, and everybody was building. It was really a kind of public space with different projects. People were building cars and like a little tree house. It takes some time to load. Actually, these are video captures that I did this morning because with no internet here. Somebody actually built some dolphins jumping around. And what you have to do in these sandboxes is you have to interact with people a lot. You're going to have to actually fight with people. And you have to build very quickly because 12 hours is very short. So I was building stuff and then putting them in my inventory. You have this kind of inventory of objects, and you can just drag one, and then that's it, your building is there already. So I found that these sandboxes are used a lot for advertising one's work, because you can put a building or an object that you have, and people just hang out there and they see it, and maybe they ask you to buy it. But it was not so comfortable to work there because people are kind of aggressive, and there's people who try to find scripts to make like explosions or to bump you or to push you. So it was kind of hard to concentrate there in the sandbox because it was too crowded. So I started shopping around for some land. And suburban, kind of boring area. It looks a bit like Los Angeles, maybe. And it's kind of close to the sea. It's funny, it's called Aglaia, which is like Aglaia, it's like a Greek name, a horrible one. So here, Angelo is there, his avatar is called Angelo Click. And I have 2 accounts, so I'm here like twice. One is a cheap free account, and the other one is the one that you have to pay, but you can't really tell the difference. And I was kind of multitasking, working on 2 computers, because I wanted to have people